Hey guys, welcome back to the Dialed In Podcast. I am again joined by Collin. Collin is, I mentioned last time that he's becoming a regular. He's now going to actually host it for the next month since he's here so often. He knows the routine inside and out. We are supposed to be joined by a couple other people. We'll see if they do join. As always, we're sponsored by RocketBotLeads. They provide us with brand new on-market data. I love to use this data because I love to buy sub-twos. I love to resell them on owner finance. So if you have anything that you want to sell to me, please bring it to me. I'm looking for deals in Texas specifically, but I'm happy to help you find buyers in other places as well if you guys need help. Collin, tell us a little bit about yourself.
Well, I'm from Texas originally. I live in Utah currently, and I'm about to start going deeper into helping stop pre-foreclosures. That's the new thing I'm going after.
So for you, is that a shiny object, or is that more of you committed to doing that based off the experience that you've had so far? You think it's a good direction for you?
I think it's a good direction for me. It's kind of what I wanted to start out doing, but it kind of scared me a little bit. But I really want to be of service to people, and that is the only way that I can clearly see of being of service to other people.
Yep.
You know, helping them out of a bad situation if I can.
I agree. I think that's a great place for you to go based on the conversations we've had, the way that you like to help people too. And the conversation you and I had before we pressed record here was also that you always have people available to you who know more, who have done more than either one of us, so that we can always access if you ever run into a situation that is confusing, or if you think that someone can help a seller better than yourself, it's always in everyone's best interest to refer somebody to someone else to help you. So
absolutely. I actually had a taste of that. The very first person that I texted that was on auction.com, she actually responded positively, and I called the bank with her and everything, and I reached out to Caroline Kane, and she introduced me to Bobby here in Utah. It was a really good experience, but it didn't really go anywhere. But she had a lot going on, but it gave me a good taste of what helping like people in pre-foreclosure is like.
And you can help them so many different ways too, right? You could buy their house. You could help them get out of foreclosure somehow. Yeah. You could sell their house to help them get out of foreclosure. There's so many different ways that you can help people who are going through foreclosure that, you know, why wouldn't someone like you who has the experience and the knowledge, the network, help more people? So I think it's a great place for you to go.
Yeah, I think so too. And it was, you know, it was kind of fun calling the bank with her on the phone. I did not know what I was doing at all. It was a little uncomfortable, but now that experience is out of the way, I'm kind of looking forward to doing it more.
I love that. Well, it's just the two of us today, as far as I can tell. If someone comes in, great. But until then, let's make some phone calls. You got the new list. You and I are going to be calling separate lists, so you can start wherever you want to start.
Okay.
And I'm going to be calling my list, which is just my leads, just a little bit different.
Okay.
And let's see who we can get on the phone today.
All right. Sounds good.
And by the way, I've not made phone calls in a while, so go easy on me. Okay?
Man, like after every episode that I do, I'm like, I'm going to call this entire list. And then I just trick myself out of doing it. So I haven't called since the last time.
It's so much better if you do it in a place like this, right? Because you're forced to.
That's exactly why I show up every time, because I need to do it.
Well, I love it. You're welcome anytime.
I appreciate it. All right.
I have had people come on here, by the way, who pretend like they're calling.
Oh, really?
But they don't call. You know, I say mute your phone so we don't have to hear the dialing.
Yeah.
I think it's a fear thing, right? Especially if you don't make calls on a regular basis. It's hard to make calls in front of other people.
It really is hard. It's really hard to do. It's scary. So I kind of understand why they do that, but I can't show up to your show and not do my part of it, you know, which is stumble through the phone call.
You always do your part. Thanks for joining.
Yeah.
All right, let's make some phone calls.
All right, sounds good.
Mike Jackson, how are you?
Doing fine. How are you?
I'm good, thanks. I'm calling about a listing of yours in Willow Spring, the one on Keith Court. Now, is that a short sale?
No, it's a bank-owned foreclosure.
Got it. Bank-owned foreclosure. Okay, cool. I am looking for a house in the Willow Spring area. So I'm a buyer. I'm not an agent, by the way. Um, are you an agent that works specifically in Willow Spring, or do you kind of work all around that area? I'm just looking to connect with more agents to help me find a house.
I am all for. I do mostly bank-owned properties, hedge funds, and wholesalers.
Got it.
And I run from Wilmington to, so yeah.
And are you only working in North Carolina?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you seeing a lot more foreclosures now?
I've seen an increase, yes.
Yeah, we have too. I live here in Texas. I'm just looking for a second home out on the East Coast where family is. And we're seeing so many more here. Are you guys, the issue that we're running into here is that people are just losing jobs. Is it the same thing out there?
No, not yet. We haven't seen, I mean, I've seen an increase because that's what I do. But, it's not a big increase yet. Looking at the courthouse steps, there's still not that many that are going. So it's still pretty low. I mean, it is an increase from 0 to 1 is 100% increase.
Right. More.
But there's not that many yet. And the economy is still pretty good. We're still seeing appreciation.
Mm-hmm.
We're still seeing multiple offers on properties.
That's great for you. I can imagine. I bet that makes your job a whole lot easier.
I do better in a bad market, but
Yeah, I'm always curious, and you can probably tell that I'm probing a little bit because I'm just more curious than anything else. But for an agent like you, I've never been an agent myself. It seems like you've just kind of picked the foreclosure niche. Is that what you did early on in your career?
yeah, I fell into it and continued. That's exactly what happened.
Got it. And so you represent banks and companies that have taken homes back.
Correct.
Okay. Got it. If if I end up buying a single family home for myself, my family on the East Coast in Willow Spring, how else could we work together? Because I also buy lots of other homes and then do whatever I need with them. What other ways could we work together?
And all of the companies that I work with require it to be an MLS, and they require it to be, 7 days. I'm seeing more and more. The last 2 that I got require owner occupants for the first 30 days, and then the rest are after day 31.
Yeah. Okay. That's okay with me, by the way. I don't care about that.
Yeah, they require properties to be on the market 7 to 10 days before they respond to offers, stuff like that.
Are you guys typically getting an acceptable offer in that 7 to 10 day period?
After the 7 days, because they require it to be on the market for 7 days.
Right.
Before they even respond. The majority we see multiple offers. I mean, and bank comes back with a request for highest and best, and we still see stuff going over asking.
That's great. That's awesome. Okay, cool. Well, what can you tell me about the Keith Court property? It looks actually really nice.
Yeah, it's a pretty decent property. The road is not, there's a lot of newer stuff around there. This one is just one road, and the road is not maintained. But the biggest issue on this one is that it was a foreclosure, but there's solar panels on the roof. So the foreclosure wiped it out, but the mechanics lien stays on the property. The bank says, well, we're not paying that because they can't come after us. The solar panel company could come and get the solar panels, but then they got to fix the roof too.
Right. Okay.
So they generally don't, but the problem is if you need a loan, you got to talk to your lender or your attorney how they can resolve that.
Okay. It does look like the house needs a little bit of work, right? I'm looking at the bathroom. I'm looking at the closet.
Yeah. It's a foreclosure, so it's not a batch foreclosure, but it needs paint. It needs, probably new appliances. It needs, some repairs, some siding. There's a piece of siding missing. There's a window that has a cloudy view, so that the glass needs to be replaced.
In that bathroom, it looks like someone painted the granite in there. Is that right?
No, it's actually the
reflection.
The window. Yeah, they've got like a a window in there that bends the light, and so you see different colors coming in.
Got it. That was my second option. Okay, it makes it a whole lot easier.
Yeah.
Okay, great. Well, I will take a further dive into this and see if it's worth us putting an offer in. I know that you guys can't even look at offers for the first week or so, so I'm not in any rush here. Do you have anything else coming up in the area that might make sense for us to take a look at?
I never know what's coming up. I've got some higher end properties that are coming up. Nothing in that price range.
What do you say when you say higher end? How much are you talking?
400.
Okay. Yeah, we'll go up to about 750 or so for the house that we're looking for. So if you do come across anything, let me know. I'll send you my contact info after we get off the phone call.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, great. Awesome, Peter. I appreciate your time. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Bye-bye. Okay, Collin, help me out with that. Here's the thing. Here's where I need help, genuinely.
Okay.
An agent like that who represents banks and other companies who have foreclosed on their homes.
Mm-hmm.
Genuine question. How can I, as an investor, work with an agent like that?
I was wondering the same thing because I'd never call these agents specifically because I have no idea, like, really how to work that sort of relationship. He's, and I guess this is a huge gap in my knowledge. I don't really know the difference between a short sale and a foreclosure. I thought all foreclosures go to auction and they don't need to go to the MLS. I guess that's a little confusion on
that. That may have been what happened here, where this house may have been foreclosed. Mm-hmm. It went to auction, didn't sell, and so the bank took it back, and now they're reselling it on the MLS.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So I think that's what happened here. A short sale is where this house is listed at 280. Let's say, for example, that the sellers, they owed 340. Mm-hmm. What the sellers could do is go to the bank, and they could say, "Look, clearly, we owe more on this house than what's worth. Would you guys be willing to take 280 for it, take that hit, right, on that mortgage balance and accept less than what is owed to them as their loss?"
Okay. And this is before they go through the foreclosure process.
Correct.
So they're the homeowners are preemptively kind of getting ahead of the situation.
Yeah.
Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Exactly. Typically a seller has to miss a month or two or more of payments. Mm-hmm. There has to be a discrepancy between what the sellers owe to the bank and what the house is worth. It has to be more that they owe on the house than what the house is worth.
Right.
So, you know, the short sale just means that the bank is willing to take less than what they are owed to get this thing off their books.
Okay, I see. And that's the type of deals that he primarily works with.
He doesn't really do short sales, I don't think. I forget what he said at the start there. What he does is he represents the banks, other companies who've taken the homes back.
Okay. The people that have foreclosed on the properties.
Correct.
Okay.
Correct. Yep.
Okay. How do you continue a relationship with this guy?
I don't know, but think about it. I'll put it out to our community and see what we get. But that's why I was asking him, saying, you know, how could we work together? Because I don't know.
Yeah, because I don't think he knows either. Because it seems like it's pretty clinical what he does. You know, it's always the same path every time. You know,
that's a great way to say it. It's very clinical, right?
Yeah,
he's given a property. His job is list it.
Yeah. It doesn't seem like he's really trying to get a deal or anything like that. I mean, he's trying to make money, obviously, but I think it's a set path for him.
What if we were to do this with him instead? What if I were to ask him, does he do any of his own investing, or he's in real estate? You know, do you do anything on the side? Do you buy fixer uppers? Do you invest in rental properties?
Yeah,
that's where I probably should have gone with it.
That's a great idea. I definitely wouldn't have thought about that, because to me, my first initial judgment on this guy, which is I shouldn't have done it, but he seemed kind of like a stick in the mud, so I didn't think he was doing anything on the side.
Yeah,
so
I agree.
That's a character flaw on my part. I shouldn't judge people like that. Because he may be.
Collin, you have to judge people.
Well,
you have to judge people on the phone. Have to.
Yeah, that's true.
Because you don't know them, right? And so you have to take into account things like, what does their voice inflection say about what they're specifically saying?
Yeah.
Right. It's like reading a text message from someone who's a terrible texter. And, they could say something that sounds harmless, but it's violent, or whatever.
Yeah. The
but
context.
we have to judge.
Yeah, for sure.
We have to take some guesses whether we're right or wrong.
Yeah, you're definitely right about that. So my initial judgment was that he was boring and didn't do anything on the side. But, I've often been wrong. He could be balling on the side.
He was boring. Yeah. That's for sure.
It sounds like he doesn't usually get a lot of these phone calls. He sounded a little shocked that somebody called him.
I agree 100%.
But,
all right, well, thanks for that. Let's hop in and make some more phone calls.
Okay. I almost psyched myself out.
Push through it.
Yeah. I don't know about you, but I'm not leaving voicemails.
I don't normally leave voicemails because I don't want them to call me back, just because I'm not doing a lot of these deals. Yeah. But I think that you should.
Really?
Yeah. Okay. Or send them a text. What I would do is I would create a text, copy it, so you can just very quickly send it to them, change the name.
Okay. Yeah. Typically, I do leave voicemails, but for the sake of the podcast, I feel like voicemails are just kind of like boring.
They are a little bit, but what's really interesting is that they work. That and text messages work. I think it was it a couple weeks ago where someone was on phone calls, like call after call after call, because they kept getting phone calls back or text messages back.
Right.
So shoot, why not?
Yeah. I've shockingly gotten a return phone call from almost every agent that I have left the voicemail to. And I've played phone tag with them.
It works.
It does work. You're definitely not wrong about that. But Cliff didn't answer, and I didn't leave a voicemail.
Okay.
Hi, Janine. My name is Collin, and I was calling on your property that you have listed on Amber Ridge Drive. I was just hoping you could chat with me about it. Feel free to give me a call back at this number at 801-651-7636. Thank you. Bye. That was one of the first voicemails I've left.
What I found with voicemails, by the way, is the simpler the better.
Yeah.
And if you're vague, the chances of them calling you back increase.
Really?
So, hey, what was her name again? I forgot.
Janine.
Hey, Janine, it's Collin. Just calling about your new listing on Main Street. Give me a call back.
Okay. Short and sweet.
I don't like to waste time.
Yeah.
And the thing about that is I think that being ambiguous is gonna require them to call me back for them to realize why I'm calling.
Right.
Right. And as an agent, they're gonna want to do that. I hope.
Yeah.
But I also don't want to leave a really long message, because the longer the message isn't going to necessarily mean the higher the chances of them calling me back.
Right. So was mine a little too long?
No, it's fine.
Okay.
It was totally fine.
Okay. Because I do try to keep them short. So just for that very same reason.
Yeah. No, that was a good message.
I really wanted her to answer though.
Right. Let's do this. Let's rotate calls just in case you get on a phone call. So I also just tried someone. Why don't you try and then I'll try after you if you don't get on a call with somebody.
That works. That works for sure. I immediately call these ones with the negative.
Perfect.
Okay.
Yeah, I would do the same.
Is there like a cap on negative? Like you don't want them to be like in the whole like $100,000, right? You can't really fix that.
Yeah, if it's a big negative equity position, I'm talking like 20 grand or more. Yeah. What I'll typically ask, actually 15, just to ask the question too, is if it is a short sale. Mm-hmm. You know, that's why I asked that question at the beginning of my call with Peter, was to just cut through the fluff. If it is a short sale, then I'm going to hang up or I'm going to ask him what he has that we might be able to make an offer on that's not this property, right?
Yeah.
But where that conversation went was, no, it's not a short sale. It's owned by the bank. Mm-hmm. Opened up a whole different line of questioning. But what we're really looking for is for an agent to have maybe 10 to 15 grand in negative equity and for us to provide them with a solution, right? So by asking the question of, is this a short sale? We get that out of the way immediately. We save time again, right? If it is a short sale, ask how we can work together or try to find a way to work together with an agent and then move on. Okay. If it is a true negative equity position and they're current, not a short sale, amazing. But you don't really want a ton. To answer your question, anything more than 20 grand, that's probably a borderline really tough situation.
Okay, so for cash to seller, if they're going to be bringing $62,000 to sell their house, that's probably it's too much.
It's probably a short sale. Okay. Yeah. Okay. But ask the question again, use that as an example to build a relationship with the agent.
Okay. Right.
So I never consider that a loss or a waste of time.
Okay.
Here's Kerrie.
Oh, hey.
Hi, sorry about that.
Kerrie. That's okay. That's okay.
We were holding it down.
Thank goodness. I hope it wasn't too heavy.
Not yet.
Collin and I are just making some phone calls. He's going to make a call here. After he makes this phone call. Want to hear a little bit more about you, Kerrie, just so the audience, the thousands of people who are watching this daily, get to know about you. Okay.
I lost the person that I was calling on the list.
That's okay. No problem. Kerrie, thank you so much again for joining. Always appreciate seeing you.
Yes.
Are we going to see you this week?
Yep.
Let's split up. Perfect. Awesome. Tell everyone a little bit about who you are, what you're looking for, and how people can work with you.
Let's see. I am outside of Philadelphia in Pennsylvania, in the suburbs of Philadelphia, and I have been a realtor for 25 years and bought my first flip in 2014, and I've done probably 6 or 7 flips and 6 or 7 wholesale deals, and then I joined Sub 2 about a year and a half ago, and I bought a couple properties Sub 2. I haven't done any assignments, but I'm really looking forward to doing an assignment, and so I'm working here with Mike to get myself an assignment deal where I wholesale to someone else and not buy it myself.
Perfect. Perfect. What are you looking for specifically right now? If you were to say, this is the one thing that I need in my business to make next week feel even better, what is that one thing?
I need now money.
Cool.
I have a couple of properties that one is on the market, one I'm renovating is about to be on the market, and one I just bought to flip.
Very cool.
That's awesome.
Kerrie, Collin and I, we had a little bit of we had a question. I just had a phone call. I'm curious from your experience as an agent and broker. I called an agent who was representing a bank, and what he does is he represents banks, other companies who have taken back foreclosed homes. He's selling them for those institutions. That's his only focus. As an investor, what are some ways that we can work with somebody like that? Do you think? I was struggling to think of something outside of the only thing that I could think of was, does he do his own investing? Which that was a question I did not ask. I regretted not asking that one. Is there something else that we can do with that type of an agent to build a relationship with?
I don't really think so, because for a couple reasons. Number one, they have more business than they can handle. They're running around, doing all kinds of things to prepare for these listings for the most part. And then the other thing is that once the banks take them over, they're really not, they don't want to negotiate. They don't want to unload it. They want to get their money. They're not going to reduce the price until it's been 3 months.
Yep.
And so, I don't even recommend that my buyers put offers in. They always want to put low offers in, and the bank is not hearing it. You basically have to wait for the bank to reduce the price, and they're not going to do that, prior to 90 days. They won't do it before 90 days.
Yep.
So
Yep. The only thing that they're really missing out on is that cash flow from the seller, right? They're only missing out on the debt that they have in place and the payment that they should be receiving. That's the only thing that they're missing out on.
Right. And unless he's doing his own investing on the side, that would really be the only thing, I think. It's funny. Yep. I went down to the New Jersey has a triple play with New Jersey, Pennsylvania, and New York, where they have 1 million classes, and you get credit for the, continuing education credit. And my girlfriend and I were out having dinner, and there was a guy there who worked for a bank and had just retired, and told us a story of all the driving around that he did and all the stuff that he did, listing all of these properties for the bank. Like, he made a boatload of money, but he was just going crazy with all the business that he had. Yeah.
Interesting niche, but it does require a lot of work.
He had no properties of his own. I think he dealt with so many things that he just wasn't interested in taking on any himself.
Could you imagine having to deal with banks and things like that, and then having to deal with your own tenants at the end of the day? It sounds miserable.
It does sound really miserable.
Yeah. All right, Kerrie. So we sent you the new list. Did you get the new list? I sent you maybe 30 minutes or so ago. 45 minutes at this point.
Because the one I have up, the first address is 332 West 48th Street.
Okay. The one that I sent you is 437
this for today.
Montebella.
At 154. Okay, I got it.
Okay, cool. Feel free to start calling that list, and let's see if we can get anyone on the phone.
From the top or the bottom?
Collin, did you reorganize yours at all?
I've been jumping around the list. I haven't reorganized it or anything.
Okay.
Start wherever you want then.
Yeah.
Sounds good. I'll do it. Thank you.
All right. Good luck, guys.
To my dog again. I don't need Randy. You're barking when I'm on the phone or when I'm being recorded. Visitor.
Nobody's answering.
I left messages and they started calling me back like crazy.
I just left a message. Hopefully she calls me back. But yeah, nobody's answering.
Collin, Kerrie was the person I was referring to.
Oh.
Kerrie, I told Collin about how you got all those phone calls back last time.
Everyone I called, I didn't get anybody. I just left messages. And then as soon as Mike and I were talking, they started coming in like crazy.
Yep.
My son is moving home from Florida today. He's arriving around 3. It's very exciting. He's been down there for 3 years.
That's fun.
Just turned
How old
30.
Is he?
It's so fun.
That's
I'm
so
so
nice.
excited. He just has such a good energy. I'm trying to get him to go to Squad Up. Hi.
Hi.
I might have the wrong number. I'm looking for Megan Armstrong.
Megan, yeah, I'm her partner. She's in the meeting right next to me.
Oh, thank goodness. I'm so happy you didn't say you were Megan.
No, it's a little different.
Yeah, I would hope so. I'm calling about your property on her listing on Braddock in Northport.
Nebraska?
No, Braddock.
Oh, Braddock, yeah.
Braddock, yes.
Yeah.
So my name is Kerrie Deragon, and what it is that we do is we work with buyers. Our company works with buyers that have bring them bring them on. Okay. They have a hard time qualifying, for mortgages, maybe because they work for themselves and they get a 1099. It's certainly not because they don't have good credit. It's usually because they don't make quite enough for the interest rate right now. And so what our company does is we buy them from, the right person that's interested, and maybe there's not a whole lot of equity, or maybe they got shipped off to California, who knows. But we come in and we will take over the payments for them and pay the commissions. And, if they have equity, we can take care of that too. It just kind of depends on how much. And then we sell them to those buyers via seller finance.
Well, it's a VA loan, and I know they moved pretty promptly. It's a brand new house. They just finished their pool.
Oh, wow.
For business.
It's a brand new house?
Yeah, the house is about a year and a half old. The pool's about a week old.
Oh, wow. That's a bummer. The pool is a week old? I'll be right down.
I know. Right?
Yeah.
So he's gonna need to. He needs that VA loan when he purchases next. What I'm saying.
Well, he can definitely do that. It depends on what state that he's going to, because he has a oh my gosh, the word is going to escape me today. He has a benefit. What's his benefit called? It's something specific. It's escaping me. I apologize.
Eligibility?
Yes, he gets that, but he can have more than one property. And if he contacts the VA, and I can send you a video on it from a mortgage broker, but he can have a second property. It just kind of depends on what how much of an endowment, that's not the right word, but how much of an endowment he has left. I apologize, I can't think of the right word.
It seems like kind of expensive.
Entitlement.
Well, no, not really, because there are people out there that make a lot of money, and can afford a big payment, but they just can't qualify for whatever reason. I mean, where is he? Does he have a lot of equity in the house?
No. He got 100% VA loan.
Oh, wow. And has the value gone up at all?
In Southwest Florida? No.
Not so much, no.
Prices have gone boom.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I mean, sometimes it's just a way for somebody to get out when they don't want to have to pay 2 mortgages, and we take care of the commission and everything, and that way he doesn't have to write a check to go to closing.
Interesting.
Yeah. And we have a mortgage company that actually, they're a loan servicing company, and they do all the servicing. They take the money out of our company's account and they pay his mortgage. So there's a detailed record of every time his mortgage gets paid. So he can see every time his mortgage is paid, he'll be right on top of it. And he definitely does get, and it depends on the state that he's going to. And I apologize, it's really bugging me that I can't come up with that word.
He's staying in Florida.
Oh, he's staying in Florida. Okay.
Yeah. He's moving an hour south.
Oh, wow.
South.
Where is he going?
Yeah. Naples area.
Oh, I love Naples. My dad had a condo there for 15 years.
Too bad you didn't have it, so worth a bundle.
Well, I know. Let me tell you, he bought it for $615,000 in April, and he did not sleep in the place not one night. He went back up to New Jersey, and after closing on March 31st, April 1st or 2nd, went up there for the summer and got diagnosed with bladder cancer. Well, he had had bladder cancer, but he was in remission. And then unfortunately he passed away that next December, and he didn't get to spend the one night in there. I, on the other hand, did. I know it is a terrible story. I told my sister, I said, Suzanne, that condo is sitting there empty. It's going to be months before we have the legal right to sell it. Let's go to Habitat for Humanity and buy a couch and bring some, and my sister said, okay, I'll buy some mattresses from Costco. So we bought new mattresses. We brought sheets from home, and we enjoyed that condo for my dad. It was right on the water in Naples.
I'll sell for you.
Well, we did sell it. Oh, that's the point of my story. He bought it for $615,000, and he sold it the following year for $900,000.
Sweet.
Yeah, that's how much it appreciated in 1 year in Naples. It was 21 or 22, I guess, when we sold it. Right at the time. Yeah, and I tried to talk my brothers and sisters into keeping it, but they wouldn't.
It's probably worth $750 right now with the market. So you sold in a great time. Perfect.
Yes. Well, we settled September 30th, and then in October was that hurricane. Ian, I don't remember which one, and he had 4 feet of water in the condo.
Oh, good timing.
Yeah.
All around, huh?
Good timing all around. Yeah. But so Naples, I have a very special place in my heart for Naples, but I won't talk your ear off. I'll try not to.
I will take. What's your name?
Kerrie.
Sorry?
Kerrie, yeah. And I'd be happy to hop on a call with both of you, to kind of explain the process for him.
Yeah. And this is your number, 215-280-3300?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay. When Megan gets out of her meeting, I'll shoot her over the number and see what she thinks.
All right. And what is your name? Bradley. Okay. And are you partners with Megan?
Partners and husbands.
Oh, all the good stuff.
Yeah.
And you're still speaking to each other.
Yeah, most of the time.
That's a good thing. That's a good thing.
Yes, ma'am. Well, thanks for the call, and I'll get the message and see if she's interested. Sounds good.
Sure, absolutely. And if she has any questions, she can shoot me a text. She can call me. Whatever works for her. Okay. Thanks, Bradley.
Have a good day.
You too. Bye-bye. Entitlement. I was waiting for someone to type that on the screen. I'm like, endowment? No, I know that's not the word. I can't believe this is being recorded.
That was a great call, Kerrie. Really, really good. What did you think of that call, Kerrie?
I thought it was good. Who knows? I mean, I didn't have the opportunity to explain it to her, so she's going to explain it to her. He's going to, and then she's going to say, oh, well, you can't because of this, that, and the other.
Well, what could you do to control that conversation?
And speak with her instead of Bradley.
Yep. What else?
Oh, boy.
Collin, feel free to chime in. If you've heard me say this before, feel free to chime in.
I don't know if I'm thinking what you're thinking. I think you're a great speaker. Like, you can communicate with people very easily, obviously. I think this is just my uneducated opinion. I think maybe going too deep into the weeds with somebody that's not really listening to you that deeply, maybe too much, but that's just.
So you didn't think he was really listening to me?
Analysis. I don't think so. I don't think he quite understood what the benefits that you said to him. He just glazed right over him. He didn't believe you or whatever. Sounds like he wasn't really listening. That's just my opinion.
What did you think about that, Mike?
The impression that I got from him was that Megan was the one who you probably needed to speak with and communicate that information to. Just because he did feel a little bit disconnected from it to me, just a little bit. And I don't know if that was because maybe she's controlling the listing or for whatever reason. That was just my impression. Yeah. But I think that what I would do in this situation, Kerrie, and I don't know if you've heard me say this before, but I love making a video after each phone call. And I love addressing the issues that they might potentially have or that I think that they will have regarding this listing. And what that looks like for me is I am looking at the tab right here. I have a subscription with BombBomb, bombbomb.com. So fun to say. And so what I'll do is after each phone call that's good, I'll send them an email, and either with an offer or an LOI or whatever, typically I'll write an offer and send it over to them. But I will also in the video say, hey, Kerrie, this is Mike. Thanks so much for your time today. Based on what we discussed, what we're interested in possibly doing here is just simply taking over the payments as they are right now. We're happy to pay you your commission directly, so the seller doesn't have to. We're also happy to pay all the closing costs. And if we can figure out a way to get the seller some of their equity, I would love to do that as well. And then if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to me. I'd love to touch base with you after you get a chance to review my LOI, my offer, my information, whatever I send over to them before you talk to the seller, so that at least we're on the same page with the information that we're trying to communicate. And, the issue that you're bringing up here is that it's really difficult to control the conversation if you're not the one who's there, right? So how can we make a clone of you or communicate with them in a way that either they can show directly to the seller or that they can kind of take bullet points from and communicate those to the seller, right? Because it's great to get on the phone with the seller. I love to do that also. But I think that it's really hard, right? Because the agents always want to control that relationship. Always. So on my website, for example, I've listed out and created videos for all of I think there are like 5 or 6 or 7 of the most common objections to sub 2. They can't do it because of this or this. And so I'll just direct them to that. One of the things that you discussed on that phone call, Kerrie, with me was that they're concerned about their entitlement. Let me send you a video of that so you can kind of understand what our process looks like with respect to their VA loan and how they are able to purchase their next house. So there are all these things that you could do. A lot of people just send information like not blank. What's the word I'm looking for? It's just the same information to every single agent, as opposed to how can I really customize information to an agent based on the conversation that I've had? If they have an FHA loan, for example, we want to bring up VA loan entitlements, probably not, right? So how can I pick and choose the things that we've talked about on the phone call and then send them information specifically related to those issues? Okay. So that's what I love to do if possible. Sometimes it's hard, but I think it's worth the time to create those resources at the front end of all these things. And then you can send them a video on entitlement. You can send them a video on what happens in the case of default, right? That's always a concern. It should be. So those are the things that I would do personally. I'll refer you to my website. You can see what I've done and then create your own or whatever you want to do with it. Otherwise, I thought it was a really, really good phone call. What I love about you, and Collin, I'm sure that you picked up on this, but I know that this is your first time hearing Kerrie make phone calls. You get right into it. Like there's no beating around the bush. You're straightforward, and I'm the same way. That's why I appreciate that. But I think that your style comes off super professional. I also think it comes off as really, really knowledgeable, which if you're on the other side of that, you feel comforted, right? It's like your security blanket is put over your shoulders. So I think you do a really, really good job.
I totally missed though that he was over his head,
Yeah.
It's just what it sounded like to me. It just sounded like he was disconnected in some way, like Mike said. But I loved the way you explained it. Like everything you said was great. I thought, I like in my mind, I was like, man, I hope I can make mine sound as good as hers.
Lots of years of experience.
Yeah, and you hear that for sure in your conversation, and the fact that you can just go off on a different sort of tangent, I think that's a good thing. Like you're my favorite agent to talk to.
Yeah.
I want an agent that will talk.
Yeah.
That's my favorite ones. I don't like the ones that kind of don't
and I'm
have
going to
much
talk
to say.
and I'm going to be honest.
You had a lot to say. Yeah, and that's another thing that was really great. Just straightforwardness is the world's lacking in that.
When the market crashed in 2010, I got my insurance license and I started calling internet leads. Hi, this is Kerrie calling with Allstate. I'm calling because you made a request that I don't know, for a car or home insurance or something. I don't know. I'm happy that I can't rattle that right off right now. That's a good sign. It's been a few years.
Yeah.
The beauty of those leads too, Kerrie, I don't know if you remember, but those leads went out to Allstate, State Farm, local insurance companies, and whoever was first to get on the phone with that person, there was so much advantage to that. It's the same thing with mortgage leads. It's the same thing.
I love
but
it's I didn't make a request.
World.
I was just trying to win a vacuum cleaner.
It's really funny.
Cleaner for you.
All right, guys. Let's see if we can get on a couple more phone calls. Collin, we got to get you on a phone call.
Yeah, we do. Oh, somebody called me back during Kerrie's phone call. Ashley.
Kerrie has the touch. Every time she shows up and leaves a voicemail or just communicates that she leaves voicemails, people start calling.
Yep, that's exactly what happened. So I'm gonna give her a call real quick. I don't know what the interest rate on it is, so I'm not even gonna worry about it. Just give her a call. Hey, Ashley, it's Collin.
Hi, Collin.
Hi, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you?
I'm doing great. I was hoping you could just tell me a little bit about this galley drive.
Yeah. So it's built in 2017. It has a generac, no backyard neighbors, the pool and heated spa. We just had the AC, spring maintenance, and we put new carpet in the primary bedroom. It's very turnkey. I mean, move-in ready. It's a really great house.
Yeah, it sounds it. That's awesome. So I'm an investor based out of Utah, and I typically try to acquire properties that have little to no equity in them. And I resell those properties to people that can't qualify for traditional financing. And the way that I acquire these properties is by purchasing them subject to the existing loan. So I just start making the payments to the loan, and then I sell them to other people. Do you think your clients would be interested in that, possibly?
I'm not really sure. I think it could be. What is the timeline for that? I think he's just trying to sell it and be done with it.
Yeah. So it kind of depends just on the property and the exit strategy. But typically, we could refinance them out of the deal in 3 years or so.
Okay. I don't know that that's what he'll want to look into right now. Maybe the market here is just now firing up and buyers are back out, so I don't know that it'll be on our hands much longer.
Okay.
If you want to send me an email with, a proposal on how that would work,
yeah,
I'm more than happy to share it with him.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that. And do you have anything else that you're working on that maybe we could work on together?
Not at the moment.
Okay.
Maybe in the foreseeable future, but not at the moment. Do I have anything that wants to turn over that way?
Okay. Well, I mean, I also, do some fix and flip. So I do, cash offers. They're just typically lower than what they're asking for.
Market.
Yeah.
Sure.
Yeah. So,
All right.
I mean, if you ever come across those, feel free to give me a call.
Okay, that sounds good.
Awesome.
And you have my email to send me over information for Galley.
I do. It's Ashley Luna at Camelot, Houston. Yep. Awesome. I'll do that. Thank you.
All right. Thank you.
Have a good day.
You too.
Bye.
Hey, Collin.
Hey.
This is a great example. Okay, I'm going to say something harsh here.
Please.
Don't. You completely screwed up that phone call, but guess
Yes, I
what?
did.
but she was still listening.
Yeah.
You could have handled that phone call a whole lot better than what you did. And I've seen you do it a whole lot better than that, but she was still on the phone.
Yeah.
Right. So I think that just goes to show personally that you don't have to be perfect on the phone call.
Yeah.
You don't have to be. Where do you think that you lost her?
When I started to over-explain what it is I was trying to do, I think, and I didn't explain it very well. Because
if you switched around your value proposition,
mm-hmm.
that's the only thing that I think you could have done a little bit differently at the front of the phone call,
okay,
which would have changed everything. Meaning, we'll call her Sarah. I forget what her name was. Mm-hmm. Sarah, this is Collin. What I do is it's kind of like what Kerrie did on her phone call. Mm-hmm. What I do is I focus on providing housing to people who are struggling to get qualified conventionally. You know, we work with a lot of people who, for some reason, there are 1,000 different reasons that we work with, but typically it's the people who are self-employed, or sometimes we get, I-10 type of buyers. You can just say that word, kind of keep it super ambiguous. But what we do is we buy homes and we basically just resell them to these people, and we help them find housing that they need that they couldn't find otherwise. Right? There's value there. And I could have said that better, but there's value there from your standpoint.
Yeah.
That's also an easier transition for you to go from there into the way that we're typically acquiring the properties for these homeowners is by taking over the payments that the sellers currently have in place. If I made you an offer where I pay you your commission, I pay all the closing costs, I give the sellers their equity in cash, do you think they'd be open to us taking over the payments, or have you guys been presented with that type of an option at this point?
Right.
Something like that, and then just leave it. Then just shut up and then see where the conversation goes. But think about that value that you can add at the front end of it, because it's going to make the rest of the call so much simpler.
Okay.
Kerrie, what do you think about Collin's call?
I think it was more of a big picture call instead of like really getting specific, and I think it's easy to get trapped into asking about the condition of the property and all that other kind of stuff. And I used to do that. It's very easy to do, get them talking about the property.
Yeah, it's kind of like default for me.
It's default, right? Yeah. When you kind of feel uncomfortable in the phone call and you go, tell me about the property. I do it all the time.
Me too.
I hate it.
And then whenever they start listing off the things, it's just like they're just listing off something that they're regurgitated 1,000 times.
And you're just buying your time for her to stop so that you can change the subject, just switch it to what you really mean.
Yeah. Right. And there's never a good segue into that.
Yeah, because it really doesn't matter what the condition of the house is for the most part. I mean, if it's trashed or what have you. I think you could, I just think you could have made it more personal as far as helping other people and what your company does. And I never use the word sub two, because people have a real negative connotation for it, but
that was a panic move on my part. I never would have brought that word up, to be honest with you.
And then maybe even if you did just kind of take a break and say, are you familiar with that? Do you know what that is? And then maybe explained it by just taking over the payments. Yeah.
I've had many better phone calls than that. That was probably one of the worst ones I've ever had.
I didn't think you were nervous though.
I felt incredibly nervous. I got nervous as soon as she started talking. Yeah, because this buying the properties and then selling them to people that don't qualify, it's a spiel that I haven't quite worked out for myself yet. And I'm trying to, it's like stand-up comedy.
Honestly, I just learned it from Mike, and I just think it's a great segue because you're just kind of getting right to the point, and then
for sure.
It's
not just
it's kind of a segue into the house, why they're moving, what the motivation is, and all that kind of stuff. Because the last week I talked to somebody and he didn't care. He'll sit and wait, until it sells. He was in no rush.
Yeah, for sure.
And you could use that. You could use one of another 100 different types of things that you provide value to in the market. Right?
Yeah.
The key is just to figure out what it is that you do and how you want to do it, and then how you want to communicate it.
Well, the reason why I do use it is because I like that model. I think it's a fantastic model, and it's something that I do want to do eventually. And
that's the key, Collin, because if you believe in the mission, then it's going to be a lot easier to communicate, right? It's going to come off much more genuine and authentic than it is. A lot of agents are getting phone calls from investors going, "I want to buy another rental property."
Yeah.
Do they? Okay, cool. So as the agent in this case, what I would do is I'd say, okay, cool. You want to make an offer? Let's do this. Let's structure the offer so that you don't have any inspection period. It's not assignable, and all of the things that are going to prohibit someone who is lying about their mission from doing. And so if you can speak from an authentic standpoint, it makes it all that much better. But I think for you, it's just repetition.
Yes.
Right?
I know it's repetition. I have to get the reps in. And that's why I think this phone call failed as dramatically as it did is because I keep telling myself that I'm going to call the rest of the numbers on the list after every episode, and I don't. I think that's the universe kind of like karma, making karma happen for me. Like, you got to make these calls more than just the one time,
Yep. Well, here's what we're going to do. I'm going to have you guys make some more phone calls. I want to hear both of you guys on one more phone call each if possible. But Collin, I'm going to check in with you later today, and I'm going to ask you how many more calls you made afterwards. Okay.
Collin,
Please.
I'd be happy to get on a Zoom with you anytime. We can make calls together, sort of as an accountability.
Oh yeah, let's do that. I would love to do that actually. Sometimes accountability isn't my strong suit.
It's not mine. Like I'll be running in a million different directions, and then I'll climb in bed and say, "Shit, you didn't make your calls," and it'll be on my calendar, beep, 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 and I still didn't do it.
Yeah.
Fires or whatever.
Yeah, I would love that. Actually. Yeah, that'd be great.
All right, guys, let's make a few more phone calls. Let's see if we can get on some more phone calls together. Collin, you didn't screw it up so bad that this next call is so scary to make anyway. So
no, it's going to be easy.
Let's all just learn
it can't be any worse. How about that, Collin? It won't be any worse. You'll be more comfortable.
There you go. Okay, you're right. It can't get any worse than that.
Not that it was
phone
bad
call.
at all. Seriously.
Thank you. I appreciate that.
All right. Oh no!
Shaking because of
don't shake. Just imagine that they're wearing no pants or something.
Collin, all of that tells me, by the way, is that you haven't made enough of these phone calls to get past that point. Yep. That's all.
Yeah. It's weird how physical it is. Like, that was a scary phone call.
Are you relatively new, Collin? I missed your intro.
I've managed to do one wholesale deal last October. Yeah. Yep. My original spiel was way simpler than this, so that's why I'm kind of stumbling over it. Mine was just asking the agents if they had any clients that were open to seller financing. And
yeah, well, that does work.
Yeah. Yeah, it worked once. It hasn't worked since. I got really lucky with that deal, but it was a good experience.
Hello, this is
Janine?
Yes, hi.
Hi, am I pronouncing that the right way?
Yes, you are.
Okay. My name is Carrie. I'm calling about the listing that you have on Ambler Road. Amber.
Yes.
Okay. I live right next to Ambler, so I was thinking it was Amber. But the reason I'm calling, our company, oh boy, I really lost my train of thought. We work with a lot of buyers that are looking to purchase a property and for some reason cannot get qualified. They either, are self-employed or don't make enough money, or they make cash, like a hairdresser. And so what we are always looking for properties maybe that might have low equity, where we can go in and purchase the property by taking over the payments.
Okay.
our company would take over the payments and then we would sell it to that buyer on seller financing. And I was just wondering if that is something that might, interest your sellers. I'm looking at the sale price and how much they owe, and it looks like they might be having a hard time.
Yeah, so I have to update the MLS. There is a solar panel component to this,
Okay.
and that's one of the reasons that it becoming a short sale. Um, so yes, so now they need to sell, and they owe more than the house is worth.
Okay. There's nothing
Yeah.
worse than that.
Yeah, I know. Yeah,
Nothing.
so that's why. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah. And where are they going? Why do they need to sell?
They just can't afford it anymore.
Oh, they can't make the payments. Yeah. It's a struggle. It's all a struggle, I'll tell you.
Yeah. So
Um,
that's where we are at with that. I is it at the price we have it listed, we have to submit it to the bank, and then the bank would then, you know how short sales work.
yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
how much do they owe the bank?
I think it's 415.
Okay. I mean,
Yeah, 415 or 420 if I'm not mistaken.
and how is the condition of the house?
It's just as the picture states, it's brand new. It's in really good condition.
Okay. I mean, I don't think that we would have a problem with purchasing it and just paying off the loan, getting a payoff and paying off the loan for them, and then paying, your commission, paying, you a commission amount.
Okay, is this a seller finance or?
So what we would do, we would sell it to somebody. Our company would buy it from your,
Okay.
and we would take over the payments. So the deed would get transferred, but the mortgage would not get paid off. And
So
then,
it's kind of like a seller finance.
yes,
Okay.
yeah, kind of like a seller finance. And we do this through a loan servicing company, where they take the money out of our account and they pay the mortgage directly, and they're licensed by the state, and they keep a record of all the payments that, that we make every month. So there's a lot, we put a lot of safety measures in there for the seller because it's got to be a win-win for everybody.
In fact, they would still own the property.
Well, they wouldn't own the property. We would own the property, but the mortgage would still be in their name, which is actually would be good for them because we would be paying their mortgage on time, and this will help build their credit into a good place. And because and let me know if I'm going too deep, but because it's all done through the loan servicing company, there would be a record. So if they wanted to buy something else that was less money, it wouldn't show up on their debt to income ratio because we would have a record of our making the payments every month.
I could definitely propose that to them. I don't know if it's something that they would be willing to do.
Mm-hmm.
You're not the first person that's offering this finance. Well,
yeah, I mean,
definitely.
it's really called a wrap, where we keep their mortgage in place and we wrap it, and sell it to somebody else.
Got it.
Yeah. And it is in the IRS code book.
Okay. And then what would happen to the solar panel? Is that something you guys would be willing to take over too?
Yeah, we would take that over. So are they leased? Is that the issue? Or does something have to be paid?
The solar panel is leased.
And what is the monthly payment on that?
I believe it's $160.
Okay. And then do you know what the mortgage is monthly?
I do not know what the mortgage is monthly. I can find out for you.
Okay. Yeah, we would just need to make sure that it's, affordable to somebody coming in.
Yeah.
Okay.
I can find out. Just text me and I'll kind of propose it, and then I'll let you know.
Yeah. And if they want to, if you want to get on a call with, all of us together and I can answer their questions or, however makes it easier for you. And then, no, we would just take over those monthly payments. We would just take over the lease of the solar panel.
Okay. I'll definitely let them know and see if that's something they're interested in.
And then we can work out a small, like a deposit or something for them to put down on something if they're going to rent.
Okay.
Have they thought about that? where they're going to go?
I don't know what they thought about, honestly. I think they just wanted to put it on the market and see how they can kind of get it on the contract and get rid of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, talk to them and give me a call or shoot me a text, with any questions you have.
I will, 100%.
Okay. All right.
I don't have.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
What was that face, Kerrie? Tell me what that face was.
That was a wow. Because, it's just a matter of finding someone with the right motivation.
Yep, exactly right. So a couple things stood out to me on that phone call with respect to what the sellers are currently doing that impacts the way that we would write an offer, right? One of those things, for example, is they can't afford the payments. So I think the only question I think you missed there was, are they behind or not? Now, if they're going for a short sale, my assumption is that they are behind, but just to confirm, because they're going to have an underlying loan balance, a primary underlying loan balance, a principal balance plus arrears if they're behind.
That's an important piece I forgot.
That's okay. But, where my brain goes with that, though, too, is if they're going for a short sale, they owe more on the house than what the house is worth, they can't afford the current payments, chances of them buying a house next as their next move is unlikely.
Dad!
Right?
Hi.
Yay!
Hello. Okay, go right to sleep. Okay.
Kerrie, go.
Well, no,
go have fun.
He's sick and he's going right to sleep, but I'll go up and get a hug and I'll come right back. Well, you can finish telling me your whatever about that call.
What I was going to say is that there are motivating factors in our corner here to benefit us as the potential buyer, right? We can always pitch, let's solve this problem for you right now so that you guys can move on to the next course of life, whatever that is, and we can relieve the pressure of you guys having to make payments moving forward.
All right, I'll give a hug and I'll come back.
I think that.
Okay.
Cool. We'll see you shortly.
He was at a bachelor party in Alabama.
All right, Collin.
He drove up from Alabama, so I think it might have been 4 days with no sleep. Put him a little under the weather.
That happened.
I want to hear your feedback when I get back. Can I?
Okay.
Okay. Collin, let's get you on a phone call.
Okay.
Do you want to role play a call, Collin?
Yeah, I would love to role play a call because that call that kind of wrecked me psychologically for a second. I had to try to get my mind right, and I think that me trying to get my mind right kind of threw off her phone call a little bit.
Well, I also think that it's easy to go down the spiral of I just messed up or I just had a bad phone call. My next phone call is going to be even worse. Right?
It's like for me, that sort of thing is prevalent and I'm trying to eradicate it. So a role play would be great.
Okay, cool. So before we do a full role play, give me your pitch on your value proposition.
Yeah, I really should write this down because I don't really know. I'm kind of stumbling through this right now. But so it's essentially, and now that I'm on the spot, I can't think of it.
What value do you provide to the market and to people who need help?
Right. So, man, okay.
Do you want to do mine really fast, and then you can kind of take bits and pieces?
This is weird. It's hard. Like a mental block right now.
Totally get it. It's like writer's block. I totally get it. It's not easy that I'm saying, hey, say it. So, okay. Yeah. So here's what I would do. Hey, Kerrie, this is Mike. I'm calling you about your listing on 123 Main Street. What I do, and by the way, I say I instead of company, it's just my personal preference. I think sometimes if I'm calling, say, my company, it might sound a little informal. I think it's teach their own kind of thing, but just my preference is, hey, Kerrie, what I do is I buy homes from sellers who typically have low equity. Now, I don't know if that's the situation here by any means. I just did a quick little review. I don't know if my numbers are correct by any means. However, what I do is I sell the homes that I buy to people who are struggling to qualify conventionally. And what we found is that there are a lot of people who, for whatever reason, cannot get a bank loan, but they have a lot of money for a down payment or they can afford the monthly payments. But we've just found that there's this niche in the market that really want to buy homes, but they can't conventionally. And so we supply them an inventory of homes that they can purchase. The way that we purchase the homes that we buy is by simply taking over the payments that are already in place. We make sure, if you heard my tone of voice, the reason that I transitioned really quickly into we pay all the agents' commissions, we pay all the closing costs. If there's equity for the seller, we make sure that they receive that as well. I say all of that quickly because that's a value add for the agent as well, right? So I'm just trying to layer the value add. The way that we do that is by taking over the payments. We pay all the closing costs, commissions, seller's equity. Have you guys been presented with that option, or have you done a deal like that before?
Okay.
And then that just opens up a dialogue that is it's a back and forth at that point. It's not, would the sellers consider something like that? Sometimes I will say that, but that's more of like if an agent is unfamiliar with it, they're most likely to say no right away.
Right.
So that's why I'd ask the question of, have you ever done a transaction like that before?
Right. And so how long have you been doing that sort of pitch? Like, because it's so flowy, like very conversational. Like it's something that you have rehearsed, obviously, but organically, right? How long have you been doing that one?
That one specifically is new-ish.
Okay.
But there are elements to it that I've been saying for years.
Yeah, because you've been in commercial real estate like a while ago, right?
Well, I've also been in sub 2 for 5 years.
Right.
So I'm saying we'll pay all the closing costs, we'll pay all the commissions, we'll even pay the seller's equity if there is any. I've said that 10,000 times.
Yeah.
So that flows really easy for me. The front of it is a little bit different, and I'm not as familiar with that.
Okay.
But that's why I say it differently every time. You can probably tell I say it
I have noticed that. You haven't written it down or anything? Like,
no.
For some reason, I feel like I have to write my thing down.
I think that it would benefit you.
Yeah, I think it would.
But what I would do is I would write it down, rehearse it, and then bullet point it out and rehearse that.
Make it a conversational style type of thing.
Yeah.
It's not a script necessarily. It's just what I do.
Yep, correct.
So an identity, essentially.
So tell me, Collin, what do you do? And then we'll go into how that benefits the agent and the seller. What do you do? What does Collin Preston do? It can be the same exact thing that I said, by the way.
Okay. Because I don't really do anything. Yeah, so what? Oh, man.
What about my partners and I?
Okay.
What my partner or partners and I do?
My partners and I do. See, I'm kind of like you. I don't want to take a whole bunch of time on this, but I am kind of really stuck on this right now.
That's okay.
I'm kind of like you in the sense that I tried the company thing and it didn't work for me, so I had to be the solo investor, and my partners also sounds disingenuous. I have a problem with not sounding genuine,
What's disingenuous about you doing this with partners? Let's say, for example, that you get a deal. Are you going to assign it?
Yeah.
Would that person be a partner of yours?
Yeah. My buyers are my partners. Yeah. I guess you can say that. Yeah.
What if you and I did a deal together? What if you got to the point where in the conversation you're stuck? You call me, we're partnering on that deal, right?
Yeah.
So,
okay.
You have two partners right here in this phone call.
Yeah.
Meeting, whatever this is.
For sure. I should change my outlook on that. Because it's not disingenuous. Man, I'm kind of mentally kind of stuck right now. I'm hitting a wall. So what I do is I don't want to work on my spiel on the podcast.
Don't do it here then.
Yeah. Well,
let's not do it.
Okay.
Here's what we'll do. Let me try to make another phone call. Okay. I'm going to try to make this phone call to Kim, and I'm going to try to do it exactly that way.
Okay.
Okay.
Sorry if I'm kind of like wasting.
You're messing everything up, Collin. My day is shot. I'm just kidding.
I know.
Not at all. I've been here so many times, Collin.
Yeah.
And what's great about this is you get past it, and it's like nothing.
Yeah. For sure.
So this one is a negative $16,000 equity position.
Okay.
So I'm going to ask if she does pick up. I don't think she is going to. If it is a short sale.
Mhm.
Nope. Did not pick up.
So that was going to be the first question you asked, like after the niceties, like greetings and everything. Okay.
Yep. I don't want to call that person. What's the 8221? Here we go.
Hopefully my psychological crash and burn is going to provide value to people that watch this. You know?
Look, no one's watching this point of the podcast anyway.
I know.
In all honesty.
But like
Eventually. But eventually they're going to start to watch podcasts in the future of ours, and that you're going to be at the front end killing it.
Yes, you're right. I will be.
So let me get on a phone call here. We're going to get past this today. Okay. Now, you're not going to do it live. That's totally fine, by the way.
It's Joey.
Hey, Joey, it's Mike Jackson. How you doing?
Doing good. How are you doing?
I'm good, thanks. You're the first person I've spoken to that's asked me that question. I really appreciate it. Thank you.
Yes, sir. What can I do for you?
I'm calling about your new listing on Raven Road.
Yeah.
And the reason that this kind of caught my eye, I don't know if the numbers that I have on it are correct. By the way, I'm not looking at any listing. I'm a buyer, not an agent, so I don't have MLS access. But it looks like it's a really tight equity position. Is that right? Are the sellers going to have to pay at close for this?
What are they going to have to what?
Are they going to have to come out of pocket to close this transaction? It looks like they might have to.
No, they're not.
Okay. Well, that's good for them. That's great. So the reason that I was calling you specifically about this listing is what I do is I buy homes and I'm trying to provide housing options for people who traditionally can't get financed. And so what I'll do is I'll buy a house. Typically what we're doing is we're taking over the payments on the existing financing. We're paying all the agents' commissions, closing costs, the equity, if there is any equity for the sellers. And then we're typically just reselling them to people who, either are self-employed or we do deal with a lot of I-10 buyers, just migrant status types of buyers. And we provide them housing that they couldn't get through a conventional bank. And so I was curious, just the way that we purchase, have you ever done a transaction like that before where someone takes over the payments?
No, I've not.
Okay. Have you guys been presented with this option for this house in Clarksville?
We have not. No, we went coming soon the other day. We go active on Friday. So
okay.
I've not. Yeah, haven't heard of that. So is it? So you purchased? I mean, you're just assuming assuming the loan, or is it like you kind of like owner finance and you've got a certain amount of time to close on the property, or how does that work for you guys?
Yeah, great.
VA, so he would be, he would be wrapped up and he's buying another house at Bragg. So, he's looking to sell this house just to sell it.
Yeah, exactly. So to answer your question, it's kind of like both of the examples that you mentioned. You mentioned the assumable. You also mentioned the owner finance. It's very, very similar to both of those, not exactly the same, but the reason that we don't necessarily target, I hate that word, by the way, but we do a lot of VA loans just for the same. Sure. So we take over a lot of VA loans because, as you know, when a veteran purchases a house, typically they're not putting a whole lot of money down, right? And then if they're PCS'd or if they have to move, typically they don't have the equity in the house to sell it and pay all the agents' commissions, closing costs, all of those sorts of things, and actually walk away with some money. And so we take over a lot of VA loans. You said they're going to Fort Bragg. Have they purchased their next house?
We haven't closed yet.
Okay, cool. Well, I know that I'm kind of hitting you from the punch here in terms of you guys just being brand new on market, and typically I'm the first person to call about this type of an option. I would love for these sellers to get what they're hoping for and hopefully over ask. But if you guys are at the position where you're struggling to sell it as soon as possible, I can kind of show you guys how this could work as an option. for you if that's something you guys are interested in.
Well, I would definitely, if you want to send me some stuff that I can present to them, I'm open to that. And I'll present whatever you have to offer to them for sure.
Okay, cool. What I can do, just so you can kind of see it on paper, is I will write up an offer for you guys. And at the worst case scenario, you can keep it in your back pocket should you need it, maybe 30 days from now or so. But I'd love to follow up with you after you get a chance to read it and just kind of go through line by line exactly what it all means so that you can explain that to your sellers.
Okay. Yeah. Feel free to send that over.
Okay, cool. I have your email as joey_hedrick@yahoo.com. Is that right?
That's it. Yes, sir.
Okay, perfect. Awesome. Just out of curiosity, what else are you working on in Clarksville? Do you have anything else available?
The one I've got, he's won alt equities. I've got one more.
Okay, cool. Well, I'll send you over an offer and I will follow up with you, okay?
Okay, awesome. Thanks, Mike.
Thanks, Joey. Have a great one.
You too.
Bye-bye. Okay, not great call, by the way.
Well, I want to say this first. I don't think that was a very good agent for you to talk to be honest with you. I think you confused him at an intellectual level. I think he didn't understand what you were saying. But that's probably just me being overly harsh on that agent. But you have a very, your pace, I would say it's kind of hypnotic. The way you're slow about it, the way that you speak your pace at speaking is so captivating to me anyway. I guess that's something that I want to try to, because I'm really fast.
But you're fast because you're unsure.
Yeah. And I'm trying to speed through this uncomfortable situation.
You're fast because you don't want the agent to hang up on you.
Yes. Yeah.
You're fast because you don't know what to say quite yet.
Yeah.
Right?
Yes.
And so it's easy for Kerrie to slow down, for example, right? She's called lots of sellers, lots of agents.
Yeah. I admire that skill that you both have to slow your speaking down, because it's hypnotic. It is. You're hypnotizing them. You really are, in my opinion.
Take my offer. Take my offer.
Well, it's very rational. It's reasonable.
Yeah, we're having.
You're talking slow enough for me to understand.
We're having a conversation.
What you're saying,
Yeah.
Yeah. I've never been good at slowing my pace down, and that's something that I'm
Well, a lot of it is really listening to what they're saying. And you have to slow your
exactly. I totally missed it whenever that guy mentioned something about Fort Braggs. I totally didn't know that he said that, and I was listening. Or at least I thought I was.
So, Kerrie, you do an amazing job of this, about having a dialogue. The reason that I felt that call wasn't great personally is because it felt like a lot of me talking at him as opposed to having a dialogue. So when I get into that kind of a rhythm, it's frustrating for me because I do want to have a dialogue as opposed to me just spitting out information.
Yeah, he wasn't receptive to what you were saying.
I was looking for more from him, right? It's kind of like when you try to engage someone in a conversation, they don't give you a whole lot back. And you're like, okay.
Yeah.
Have you guys ever been to a party where you're not hosting the party, it's someone else's house, you have an uncomfortable conversation with somebody, and you're thinking in the back of your head, how do I get out of this conversation?
Yeah.
Right? If I can talk to you about sports, I'm all in. If I talk about all the sports and all the business stuff that I know and I'm tapped, I'm like, okay, that's all I got.
Yeah.
Time for you to pick up the ball and run with it a little bit.
Yeah.
The key there is, how do we have that dialogue to get that information out? And I think he's the kind of agent who will slowly let things slip out. Like the seller's moving to Fort Bragg, like they want to go buy a house.
Yeah.
So, that's going to be a good one for me to create a video for and explain to them that if you guys do get to the point where you want me to explain it to you further, I can show you how you can go buy your new house using your VA entitlement. I'm not going to explain it to them, right? It's kind of like when he was talking to me about how I acquired, he's like, oh, it's kind of like owner finance and kind of like an assumable, right?
Yeah.
But what did I do? Not to say that this is the best way to do it, but what did I do at that point? Do you remember, Collin?
I don't remember specifically, but I know you
what I said was kind of similar.
Yes. Yeah.
Right. But I didn't go into the technicalities of it.
Right.
Because I don't have to yet, I feel.
Yes. Okay.
You know, what I want to do is I want to hold out that carrot for them just a little bit.
Yeah.
Come take a nibble and then let's have a conversation about it.
Okay. Yeah.
But if this type of way of selling their home benefits them, if they figure that out on their own, that's my job isn't to convince them. My job is to give them an option.
Yeah.
And if they realize that this is the best way for them to go, then great. Then I can start to talk to them about, okay, so here's exactly what happens and how it works. Here's how you can go buy a new house. Here's how the loan is serviced. Here's how we're paying all your commission and all the closing costs.
Right. Okay.
But until we get to that point, until you take that nibble, I'm going to hold information back.
Okay.
Right. Think of it as like, have you guys ever been on a website and you see an interesting white paper? Or a better recent example is, let's say that you're online and you see a course that you want to take. Sign up for this free course, 100% free. What do they ask you to do?
But your information.
Right. Exactly. So once they have your information, now what are they trying to do? Now they're trying to sell you on these things, right?
Yeah.
It's not like the free thing is free forever. Something is going to be a paid thing at some point.
There's a catch.
Exactly. What I want them to do is I want them to fill out their information, the equivalent of them filling out their information.
You want them to dive into your funnel.
Yep. I want them to take that little nibble. And if they take that nibble, then I can drive them down that road of this is how they can be benefited from this type of a sale.
It's a psychological thing that you're doing that is fascinating to see happen. Myself not having been able to do it yet. It's, obviously you practiced it a lot, and I just need to do that.
I've practiced a lot. So here's what I want you to do, Collin. Okay. I want you to write out your spiel, right? Your value add. Okay. Then what I want you to do is I want you to put that in ChatGPT. Okay. And I want you to say to ChatGPT, take this transcript and load it with features and benefits for the seller and for the agent. Okay. 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 I don't want you to make a phone call with that at all, because that's not what you're going to want to do. Yeah. But then you and I are going to have another conversation. Kerrie is obviously more than welcome to join in on this. But what I want you to do is really build out your value add in your own language.
Make it me.
Yep. Make it you. Yeah. Say it 100 times. Yeah. Right. That's the first step, is just get used to saying it and how it comes out. So that when you're on the phone with an agent or even a seller, you can just quickly transition to, hey, this is exactly what I do. Yeah.
And so you remember when Pace was doing the Clifton strengths?
Yep.
So my top 5 are all in relationships. They're all relationship building personality traits. Empathy is my 4th one. And if me and you get into a car and it's just us together, we'll have a profound conversation. And I want to be able to translate that ability into this real estate thing. It's just like the experience that I don't have in real estate is the thing that's preventing me from having these conversations, I think.
What if you're to completely open yourself up to an agent? Think of yourself as completely emotionally and professionally naked. And what I'm thinking about is, if Collin was to call you up, you're representing a seller, for example, and Collin calls you up and says, hey, Kerrie, I'm working with a partner who's much more experienced than I am. I'm kind of brand new to this. Just completely laying your cards out on the table.
Okay.
This is what we focus on. What's your experience like in something like that? I think that if you lay out all of the cards and you say, look, this is new for me, but I'm partnering with someone who's much more experienced, I can imagine, Kerrie, and I want your opinion on this, that you would be much more open to having a conversation with Collin as opposed to him thinking that he is the expert when he's not.
Yeah, I definitely agree with that, because that's what I want to do every time I call somebody. I want to tell them that I want to wholesale this property, but I want you to work with me on it so we can make money together. and I want to put it all out on the table and be honest with them about it. But I've been told ever since I started doing this, don't do that, and I'm not a good liar.
But I think that's a benefit for you.
I
think
think it's a superpower for me, for sure. Yeah, but it definitely makes it hard whenever you're trying to be that investor guy.
It's temporary.
Yeah.
Right. It's a temporary phase in your experience.
Yeah.
Where you're going to get to the point where you're going to have enough of those conversations to the point where now you know how you're going to introduce yourself on a phone call, and the agent's going to be receptive to you on the phone call.
Yeah.
And then you're going to transition just because of the amount of conversations that you've had where you're actually learning on the phone from an agent.
Yeah, for sure.
And you're going to transition from the person who is novice level to intermediate. Yeah. And the conversation is going to change because you're going to know exactly what it is that you're saying. It just takes time.
It does take time, and I've been avoiding the reps that I need to do. I've really been tooth and nail trying to not do it after this.
Everybody does.
I know.
Everybody avoids. This is the hardest part when you're just starting out.
Yeah, it's so hard to do that.
We had a guy call us a little while back. He was working with us for a month on finding deals. He said, this doesn't work. No, it's 3 weeks, actually. He goes, I have not found a deal. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't know why I'm not getting deals under contract. Well, in the 3 weeks that you've worked with us, how many phone calls have you made? Well, I made 3 phone calls a day or something like that for 3 weeks, but Monday through Friday, and I took Saturdays and Sundays off. So 3 times 5, 15. So he's made 45 total phone calls, and he's throwing his hands up in the air going, this doesn't work.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
45 phone calls. If you make 45 phone calls, how many of those are actually going to pick up? Maybe half, maybe.
Yeah.
More likely a third or 25%, right?
Yep.
So you've basically made 10 phone calls, and you're telling me that this doesn't work, but you haven't given yourself enough of a sample size to figure out if it does. Is the issue the business model, or is it you? Right. And if this is brand new to somebody, it's always going to be you, and that's okay.
Yeah, for sure. You can always do more. You should always push yourself to do more. And then when you don't actually push yourself to do more, you then feel like you let yourself down, which just perpetuates the cycle,
The only way that you can let yourself down is to quit.
Yeah, that's true.
So true. Make your 50 phone calls a day, 30 phone calls a day, whatever that is. Set a realistic goal for yourself. Do it. Push through the first couple days. Those are going to be the hardest.
Yeah.
You're going to get beaten up. Who cares?
So, Mike, can I ask you a question? Let's just say I can get these people under contract. Do you settle on it and then try to go find a wrap buyer, or will you try to assign it to somebody? How would you go forwards with this?
Yeah, it depends. So if it's local to me, if I know the market, I will buy it and then I'll resell it. If it's not local to me, what I'll typically do is reach out to people who are in our community, who I know are actively doing deals. I'll let them close on it. They'll pay me a referral fee. And then I'll just say, my partner's buying it, which is the truth, right? If I plan to assign it to somebody, a little bit of a different model, then what I'm going to do is make sure that the agent knows exactly what I'm doing. And I'm going to say, I have a partner in the area who wants to either live in this house or who wants to use it as an investment property. I'm going to sell it to them, but I want to make sure that you're completely comfortable with the whole situation. So I'm going to introduce you guys before closing. Is that okay? And if I don't get an okay, I'm not going to do it.
Okay.
All right, guys. Collin, you have some chores.
Yeah.
Right. You have some homework. So listen, do that. It's the first step to you being comfortable the next time.
Yeah.
Call me, call Kerrie. Let's get together. Let
me give you my number so you can shoot me a text and we can set up a time.
Yes.
215.
Yeah.
280 3300. Okay. Are you going to be a spot up? Okay.
I'm not unfortunately. I would like to go. I'm not. I'll go to the next one.
All right, guys, leave this tab open for a couple minutes. Thank you guys for attending as always. I appreciate both of you very much. Kerrie, I'll see you later this week. Collin will miss you, but I'm sure that I'll see you on here. I think you're scheduled for tomorrow, aren't you?
I'm not actually. I don't think.
Okay.
I don't know. I kind of like just sign up.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Next time I see you, I'll see you.
Cool. Thank you so much. I've like, there's a lot of value from this one, like, and all of them, but this one specifically kind of, it hurt. This one hurt a lot. And I kind of needed it. So I really appreciate your help, both of you.
We're always here for you, Collin. Anytime.
Guys. See you, Mike.
We'll see you. Bye, guys.